Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Israel conducts multiple strikes on Hezbollah's South Beirut stronghold, claims to hit Hezbollah's intelligence headquarters in the city as troops battled militants near the border. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar to call on Sri Lankan President Dissanayake, first high-level engagement between two sides since new leadership took charge in Colombo. Escalating tension in West Asia hurts global markets. Oil prices surge over 5% following recent attacks. And with an eye on maiden ICC World Cup T20 trophy, Indian women's cricket team all set to take on New Zealand in their opening encounter in Dubai. Beirut was rocked with fresh explosions late on Thursday after Israel conducted multiple strikes on Hezbollah's South Beirut stronghold. Loud blasts have been reported near Beirut's international airport, which borders the suburb of Dihei, that is Hezbollah's stronghold in the city, and a continuing target for Israeli airstrikes. A source close to Hezbollah said that Israel had conducted 11 consecutive strikes on the group's South Beirut stronghold late on Thursday. Israel claimed to have hit Hezbollah's intelligence headquarters in the city as troops battled terror groups' armed men near the border. Earlier, the Israeli military called on civilians near two buildings in southern Beirut to move away ahead of an air raid. The Israel Defense Forces on Friday announced that they had killed Mahmoud Yusuf Anisi, a senior terrorist involved in Hezbollah's precision-guided missile manufacturing chain in Lebanon. In a post on social media platform X, the IDF said that Anisi was a key resource of knowledge and possessed significant technological abilities in weapons manufacturing. The IDF further said that it will continue to act against the threat posed by Hezbollah. The Israeli military also said it killed the head of the Hamas network in a strike on West Bank's Tulkarm. In a statement, the military identified the Hamas operative as Zahi Yasser Abd al-Razek Ofi. The leaders of the G7 have outlined their concern over the deteriorating situation in the West Asian region. The leaders of the G7 nations in a joint statement expressed deep concern over the deteriorating situation and also condemned in the strongest terms Iran's direct military attack against Israel, which constitutes a serious threat to regional stability. The statement also reaffirmed the group's commitment to the security of Israel and condemned what it called Iran's destabilizing actions throughout the West Asia region through terrorist proxies and armed groups. Discussions to avoid escalation in the region have also taken place during the meeting. The G7 leaders called on all regional players to act responsibly and with restraint. US President Joe Biden says that he is discussing possible Israeli strikes on Iranian oil sites in retaliation for Tehran's missile barrage on Israel, in comments that quickly sent oil prices spiking.
Do you support Israel striking Iran's oil facilities, sir?
We're in discussion of that. I think that would be a little... Anyway.
Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei is reportedly set to lead Friday's prayers in Tehran today. Khamenei's public appearance will come at a time when several media reports suggested that he was moved to a secure location inside the country due to increased security concerns. The relocation followed the death of Lebanon's Hezbollah chief Hassan Nasrallah in an Israeli airstrike on September 27th. Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Ryabkov said on Thursday that Russia has no intention of negotiating with the United States on nuclear stability unless there are preconditions. Ryabkov said that strategic negotiations for Russia are inseparable from the current military and political situation. According to Ryabkov, these negotiations would not have any sense for Russia as long as the US pursues their aim to strategically defeat Russia and undermine its security. North Korea's leader Kim Jong-un said that his forces would use nuclear weapons without hesitation if Pyongyang's territory was attacked by the South and its ally, the United States, the state media reported. Kim criticized South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol for threatening to end the North Korean regime at a military day event on Tuesday, saying the comment showed which side was destroying regional security and peace. Kim's statements also referenced the South's alliance with the US, as tens of thousands of US troops are stationed in South Korea. North Korea has for decades pursued a nuclear weapons program and is believed to have enough fissile materials to build dozens of such weapons. It has conducted 6 underground nuclear detonation tests. Six days after Hurricane Helene slammed into Florida and carved a destructive path through much of the U.S. Southeast, with death toll surpassing 200, the latest death toll makes Helene the U.S. mainland's second deadliest tropical storm since 2005, behind Hurricane Katrina. The death toll is expected to rise despite hundreds of rescues across 6 states. The storm has flooded towns and cities, knocked out power and water service as communities grapple with recovery effort. Thousands of federal personnel and active duty troops are assisting the locals. Authorities are pursuing search for survivors in remote areas, while aid groups are providing free food and water. Repair crews are also struggling to restore power to hundreds of thousands of customers still without electricity. US President Joe Biden undertook a second straight day of visit to the affected states, traveling to Florida on Thursday. Biden made a helicopter survey of damage and received a briefing and met with the storm survivors. He pledged immediate aid packages for people affected by Hurricane Helene during a visit to Valdosta, Georgia. Biden added that he approved Georgia governor's request to cover 100% of the cost of debris removal, emergency protective measures for 3 months. His visit comes on the heels of his trip on Wednesday to North Carolina and South Carolina. Earlier on Wednesday, Biden had directed up to 1,000 active duty troops to help with response and recovery efforts.
Yesterday, I approved Governor Kemp's request for a federal government to cover 100% of the cost for debris removal, emergency protective measures for 3 months, 100%. I must tell you, your senator had a little bit to do with that when he called me beforehand. But all kidding aside, we're doing the same for Florida as well as we're doing for North Carolina. This direct assistance is now being delivered. It's being delivered now directly, with more to come. But folks, this entire project is going to cost billions of dollars. Not tens of thousands, not millions, not a billion, billions of dollars, because it goes through so many states. You know, and Congress has an obligation to me, it seems to me, to ensure the states have the resources they need.
In a brutal escalation of gang violence in Haiti, at least 11 people were killed and dozens were injured during a deadly overnight assault in Pont-Saint, a key town 100 kilometers north of the capital. Armed men from the Grand Griffe gang, led by the notorious Luxon Elan, stormed into the area, torching buildings and executing residents in the streets. Thousands fled to the nearby town of St. Mark seeking refuge. This marks yet another power grab as gangs extend their control beyond Port-au-Prince. Haiti's Justice Ministry condemned the attacks, vowing swift justice, while anti-gang police units have been deployed to restore order. Violence has also shuttered the capital's main port, further straining the nation's fragile supply chains. Ghana has confirmed its first case of Mpox this year, according to the country's health service. The patient, a young male, is experiencing fever, rash and body pains. Health officials have identified 25 close contacts who are now being monitored. 2 variants of Mpox are circulating, that is the endemic clade 1 in West and Central Africa and the more easily transmitted clade 1b, which spreads through close contact. Ghana previously recorded Mpox cases in 2022 and 2023. WHO recently declared Mpox a global public health emergency after a significant outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo that spread to neighboring countries, raising concerns over virus's continued spread across the region. At least 78 people have died after a ferry capsized in Lake Kivu in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, just a few hundred meters from its destination. With 278 passengers on board, the boat was traveling from the town of Minova in South Kivu and sank as it was arriving on Goma's shore on Thursday morning. Sambio Wildlife Park in Australia's New South Wales has announced the birth of a rare albino wallaby joy from two red-necked wallaby parents. Zookeepers quickly named him Olaf due to his snow-like appearance. Also, according to the park authorities, 1 in every 17,000 animals is known to exhibit the genetic condition. Life expectancy for a red-necked wallaby living in the wild is around 12 to 13 years. However, Olaf will remain at Sambio and could live up to the age of 15, authorities confirmed. The Hong Kong Palace Museum has teamed up with a local jewellery company to launch a 5-year Chinese gold craftsmanship heritage education program. The event aims to foster awareness of Chinese gold artistry among young people. The exhibition featured some 30 gold treasures, showcasing various aspects of Chinese gold craftsmanship, which required skills in embossing, filigree and hammering. The hollowed-out structure of the dragon boat was carefully calculated based on its loading capacity. Starting this Saturday, 3 exhibits will be on public display for free at the Jewellery Group's concept store in Central until the end of this month. A quick look at other stories making it to the headlines from across the world. 3 former Memphis police officers were convicted on Thursday in the 2023 fatal beating of Tyre Nichols, though the jury cleared the officers of more serious charges that could have resulted in life in prison. The officers still face a potential murder trial in Tennessee State Court. Police video showed officers battering Nichols with a baton on January 7, 2023. He was then admitted to the hospital but died 3 days later. An 18-year-old's car got malfunctioned and accelerated uncontrollably to 100 miles per hour in Minnesota. Unable to regain control, he called 911, to which a state trooper quickly responded to the scene, instructing the driver to crash into the back of his squad car. The trooper then applied his brakes, successfully bringing both vehicles to a stop. Britain's National Health Service is set to screen 100,000 newborn babies for over 200 genetic conditions. The initiative is described as a world-first scheme to help early diagnosis for genetic diseases. Blood samples from 500 newborn babies have been collected from 13 NSH hospitals. Also, organisers plan to extend the scheme across 40 hospitals in England. You're watching DD India Live. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, India's Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal highlights India's transformation into a global manufacturing powerhouse. US port strike suspended till January after a tentative deal between the union and port operators. Stay with us as we get to the strongest solar flare of this solar cycle captured by NASA's Solar Dynamics Observatory.
This is a golden era of the Indian chess with both the men's and women's team winning gold at the Olympiad. What do you think is driving this incredible success for Indian chess on the global stage right now?
Some level, it was always bound to happen. And India has come very close in some Olympiads, and then they unfortunately couldn't get the gold medal. But this year, I think, was the golden year, and we managed to get it.
How you maintain your focus, your composure during the tournament?
Just try to focus on one thing at a time. Helps me get into the groove, get into the mode. Focusing on the current moment really helps.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India Live. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar will pay an official visit to Sri Lanka on Friday, during which he will meet with the country's newly elected leadership. Dr. S. Jaishankar will meet President Anura Kumara Dissanayake and Prime Minister Harini Amarasuriya. He is also expected to have discussions with his counterpart, Vijitha Herath. The visit underlines the shared commitment of India and Sri Lanka to further deepen the long-standing partnership for mutual benefit. It in fact reaffirms India's commitment to its neighborhood-first policy and Sagar, that is security and growth for all in the region outlook. The visit marks the first ever visit by any foreign minister after President Dissanayake assumed office following the country's recent presidential elections. India's Minister of Commerce and Industry Piyush Goyal delivered the keynote at the CSIS Center for Strategic and International Studies. It organized an event on India's evolving manufacturing landscape in Washington, D.C. The minister discussed how historic reforms, diversification and localized supply chains are transforming India into a global manufacturing powerhouse. He also highlighted the Make in India initiative's role in positioning the country as a key beneficiary of shifting global supply chains, presenting great opportunities for investors.
When we talk of working amongst trusted partners, India figures high on the list of most parts of the world. And therefore, I believe that our effort to maintain the manufacturing ecosystem in India, even despite all the challenges we inherited in 2014, and the COVID crisis of 2.5 years, the two wars that continue to subsist, threatening to escalate, with the Red Sea crisis having affected our international trade. With all of these challenges, the fact that Indian economy grew by 90% when the world economy grew by about 35% in the last 10 years, and we have maintained our manufacturing share at 17% despite all these challenges inherited and faced in the last 10 years, gives us the courage of conviction and confidence to believe that we can aspire to take Indian manufacturing to about 25%.
Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal and U.S. Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo co-chaired the India-US CEO Forum in Washington, D.C. Both the leaders held discussions on enhancing cooperation across key sectors, including defense, semiconductor manufacturing, clean energy, space and science, healthcare and academia industry partnerships. The minister said that India and the U.S. remain dedicated to strengthening economic ties, promoting growth and collaboration between businesses in both countries, and paving the way for a prosperous future. Minister Piyush Goyal met U.S. Trade Representative Ambassador Catherine Tai, during which they discussed ways to enhance the India-U.S. trade partnership. In a social media post, the minister said that both the sides are committed to working together to strengthen bilateral ties and also explore new opportunities for growth in critical and emerging sectors. Minister Goyal also met Julian Nebreda, President and CEO of Fluence. They explored India's renewable energy goals and also opportunities for collaboration in the solar PV integration, battery storage and offshore wind projects. They also emphasized on the need for global partnerships to drive investment in sustainable energy for a greener future. A quick look at other stories making it to the headlines from across India now. AIIMS Mangalagiri has successfully launched kidney transplant program by completing 3 live related kidney transplant surgeries within a span of 1 month. This milestone marks a crucial step forward in providing advanced healthcare services. Uttarakhand Tourism has launched Mount Kailash Darshan from Indian territory. New pilgrims can witness Mount Kailash from the old Lepulek peak along with Om Parvat. The first batch of pilgrims started on Gandhi Jayanti, that is 2nd of October, and they witnessed the majestic Mount Kailash on October 3rd. Devotees throng temples across the country on the second day of Shardya Navratri festival to offer prayers and seek blessings. On the auspicious second day of Navratri, special worship and devotion is offered to Ma Brahmacharini as one of the avatars of Ma Durga. In Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh, organizers have made Durga Puja Pandal based on theme of Ram Temple of Ayodhya, showcasing intricate craftsmanship and design as devotees flock to the site to celebrate the festive occasion. And now we turn focus to updates from the world of business. US dock workers will return to work after a 3-day strike at East and Gulf Coast ports after the union and port operators reached a tentative deal. On Thursday evening, the two sides announced in a joint statement that they had reached a tentative agreement on wages and have agreed to extend the master contract until January 15th next year. The tentative agreement is for a wage hike of around 62% over 6 years. The workers' union had been seeking a 77% raise, while the employer group previously raised its offer to a nearly 50% hike. The International Longshoremen's Association had launched a work stoppage early on Tuesday after negotiations with the United States Maritime Alliance, which represents shipping companies and terminal operators, came to an impasse. The strike, which involved 45,000 workers, paralyzed 36 ports from Maine to Texas. Sri Lanka plans to move ahead with a third review of its nearly $3 billion program for support from the International Monetary Fund. Now, Sri Lanka's new president, Dissanayake, urged the IMF on Thursday to consider alternative means to continue with a $2.9 billion bailout that aided the island nation in the wake of a sovereign default. In his first face-to-face meeting with IMF representatives in Colombo, Dissanayake said that he wanted to reduce taxes on lower-income groups. Dissanayake told the IMF that he wanted to continue with a 4-year program, which requires the government to reform loss-making state enterprises and improve governance. All right, let's talk of sports now. With an eye on the maiden ICC World T20 trophy, Indian women's cricket team is all set to take on New Zealand in their opening encounter on Friday in Dubai. Harmanpreet Kaur's side has come into the tournament ranked 3rd in the world and having reached at least the semi-finals of the last 3 editions.
With an eye on maiden World T20 trophy, Indian women's cricket team is all set for the 9th edition of the ICC T20 World Cup starting on October 3 in UAE. Led by Harmanpreet Kaur, the Indian team boasts of star players in their lineup: Smriti Mandhana, Jemimah Rodriguez and Renuka Thakur along others, adding to the firepower. India has seen a rather quiet build-up with no international matches for nearly 2 months before the showpiece event. The national team was last in action in the T20 Asia Cup final against Sri Lanka, but lost the marquee clash largely due to poor fielding and struggles against Spain. India arrived at its 15-member squad after months of significant tinkering. This involved workload management, motivated rotations, and trial and error with players of promise based on current form. The major problem for Indian women's team is that they have been unable to cross the final hurdle, be it the 2017 50-over World Cup or 2020 T20 World Cup final or 2022 Commonwealth Games final. Grouped alongside the White Ferns, defending champions Australia, reigning Asia Cup champion Sri Lanka and Pakistan, India will start their campaign under the lights on October 4 against New Zealand in Dubai. They then take on arch rivals Pakistan on October 6. They play Sri Lanka on October 9, while they last face Australia on October 13. India have participated in all 8 editions of the T20 World Cup but have never won the title. In 2009 and 2010, India was ousted in the semi-finals, while in 2012, 2014 and 2016, India could not go past the first round. In 2018 and 2023, India reached the semi-finals but could not go through to the final, and in 2020, India lost in the final. The women in blue have been among the better teams in recent times, but they are yet to lay their hands on the trophy. With tough competition ahead of them, India is set to go for glory and would want to clinch their maiden World Cup title. The wound of their semi-final exit in the 2023 edition is still fresh, and this year's tournament presents the perfect opportunity for retribution. If India can maintain composure and execute their plans effectively, this could finally be their year to lift the coveted T20 World Cup trophy. Sports Desk, DD India.
NASA's Solar Dynamics Observatory captured on Thursday an X9 class solar flare. Now, this is the strongest of this solar cycle into ultraviolet wavelengths. Now, according to NASA, these solar flares are intense releases of energy from the sun, which can impact radio communications, electric power grids, navigation signals, and pose risks to spacecrafts and astronauts. That's it in this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. This app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can scan the respective QR codes. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.